So now that all the endgame stuff is kind of farmed out and we're waiting for Eden Savage to come out, I've been passing my time by trying to solo Heaven on High up to floor 100. Why? Because you get a title. And in doing this, I've learned a couple things that I wish that I knew before I started trying to solo Heaven on High. And I'm here to tell you those things right now today. So the first thing is you need to be prepared before going into Heaven on High and thinking, this is the time. I'm going to do it right now. This is the attempt. Here I go. Well, hold on there, sport. Before you do that, all right, you need to check 3 things off your list. Number 1, do you have your Empyrean weapons and armor at level 99 yet? Because if you don't, you aren't beating Heaven on High floor 100. You need to have these things both maxed out if you plan on beating the place. Sure, if you're in the 80s or something, you could probably go ahead and do it because you'd probably be able to level them all the way up by the time you get there anyways. But just in case, get your weapon and get your armor up to 99 because eventually things will hit you so hard that you'll just die. Well, okay, I already have my armor and my weapon at 99 because there's no other way to grind up from level 60 to 70, so I'm ready to go. Well, hold on, before you go, check one more thing. Go to your inventory and check to see if you have any Empyrean potsherds. Shards? I don't really know how to pronounce this word. Anyways, take them over to this quartermaster over here and buy some Empyrean potions. You can buy 20 potions for 1 shard, and they're incredibly good. They give you a super duper omega powerful hot that lasts 15 seconds and has a cooldown of 15 seconds. So basically, you can keep yourself super duper healing hotted up the entire time you're in there if you buy 1,000,000 potions. But really, they're just for bosses and sticky situations. These things have saved my life countless times. Countless times. You basically need these things if you're going to solo Heaven on High. Well, if you got all these things, you're basically ready to go in. Just make sure you open up any silver chest you can if you're not quite at level 99 yet, because they are what level up your weapons. They also give you Magicite, which are really important. And open up the bronze chests to get potsherds, shards, whatever. But those have a higher chance of being mimics, so maybe don't. So the next thing basically everybody needs if you're going to solo Heaven on High is a guide. And when I say a guide, I'm not talking about the video you're watching right now. I'm talking about a written out guide that has all 10 floors formally laid out. These aren't complex by any mean. They basically just tell you which trash enemies you need to watch out for every 10 floors and how to beat the bosses. Because not knowing some of the bosses before you go into them can easily lead to a death because they have non-telegraph one-shot attacks. As for enemies, well, take this shark for instance.
Shit!
Right? If you didn't know this walking in, this is a shark that's on floor 1 through 5, the very beginning of Heaven on High. He's also a patrolling enemy, which means he can walk to any room he wants to whenever he wants to, so you're never safe just sitting in a room away from him or avoiding him. And he has a tank-busting move called Jaws. And if you play a squishy class like I do, Summoner by the way, and you're at level 61, because this is the first 5 floors, This is the first 5 floors, and you start out at a really low level, his tank-busting move, Jaws, can literally one-shot you. So what I do is I use Titan, and I put up a damage mitigation move, and use one of those super powerful potions I was telling you about, but that's me personally. Everybody can deal with this differently, and if you don't know about it beforehand, most likely you're going to die on floor 1 and get super demoralized and just give up. Don't give up, sharks are jerks, and a bunch of other things. That's why I use this guide right here. Go ahead and check in the description of this video for the link to it. It's not complex by any means necessary, but it has all the information that you need. And the last thing I really wanted to know before I went into Heaven on High is that you need to pick your fights correctly. What do I mean by this? Well, Heaven on High has 100 floors in it, right? And you spend anywhere from 3 to 8 minutes on each floor. Do some simple math, and that's anywhere from 300 to 800 minutes. That's a long-ass time to be straight up playing a dungeon-crawling nightmare where one death means you start over from floor 1. That means you have a lot of chances to run into shitty RNG. What I mean by RNG? Well, things like patrolling enemies, sneaking up on you while you're fighting a more dangerous enemy, having to fight both of them at the same time, and not reacting fast enough and popping a Pomander of petrification or something like that. Just any number of small, tiny things that can fuck you over because you weren't paying attention for 5 seconds because you've been doing this for 300 minutes straight. So, a couple of quick tips. Number one, there are traps in Heaven on High. They can do things like silence you for 30 seconds, or weaken you for 30 seconds, or blow up in your face and take you to 10% health, all of which are incredibly dangerous if you're in combat. But the most dangerous trap of all is the otter trap. It turns you into an otter, which doesn't sound that bad, but what it actually does is cut your health in half, and it makes you unable to use any items or any spells. If you're in combat and you touch an otter trap, you die. That's it, you're done. Unless you can somehow find a way to avoid your enemy for 30 seconds straight, you're going to die. These traps are incredibly dangerous, and you need to avoid them, otherwise you will die. However, there are no traps in the hallways between rooms. So if you decide, I'm just going to pull this enemy back and fight him in the hallway, not only will enemies not come up to you because they only hang out in rooms and not hallways, except for wandering enemies, fuck you sharks, so you can fight things one at a time, you also don't have to worry about traps. It's basically the only place I fight enemies is in hallways, because too many times have I gotten higher than I've ever been before, open a chest, turns out to be a mimic, go, oh shit, start running away, walk into an otter trap, and then die. Happens way too many times. And these are basically the things that I wish I knew before I started Heaven on High. They're not really complex things, but they don't have to be. They're simple things, they're stupid things, but they're very, very major things that I wish that I knew. And, hey, by the way, if you want to see me make it to floor 100 on Heaven on High, go watch my stream. It's this one right here. Thanks for watching the video. And, summoners aren't fucking clunky. Give him the old stanky leg.